Hello, it's Scott Manley here. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has been orbiting the moon since 2009. In that time, it's produced more data than any other spacecraft. It even produced some amazing pictures of the Apollo landing sites, showing the descent stages, experiments, flags, rovers, and sometimes even trails of footprints in the lunar surface. But a particular image from October 13th, 2014 isn't so clear. In fact, it's wild and jittery, as if something has whacked the camera while it was taking an image. And that's exactly what happened. The camera in question actually only captures a thin strip of pixels at a time, and as the spacecraft moves across the surface in the orbit, it builds up an image using this scan line. So if there are any vibrations in the spacecraft, they end up getting encoded into the image. But there wasn't expected to be any other activity on the spacecraft at the time that image was taken, so the scientists believe that this is the signature of an impact of a meteorite on the camera. Now, by studying the shape and size of the vibrations, the scientists have gone a step further and tried to estimate the size of the object that caused this. So prior to launch, every spacecraft typically goes through a vibration test. They'll put it on a big stand and they'll vibrate it at various frequencies to see how it will respond to the launch. And all this data is recorded in great detail because you do not want your spacecraft breaking as it's being launched into space. That's kind of the point of no return. So they could combine this detailed vibration data with the observed vibrations and get an idea of the momentum and energy of the impactor. And if you assume that this is an object in deep space traveling at around 7 kilometers per second, then it would be about 0.8 millimeters across, less than the size of a pinhead, less than a milligram in mass, and with an energy of maybe 15 to 20 joules. But science can do better than that. Alex Parker, an astronomer who doesn't work on the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter but just took the data for fun, he took the data and decided to try and turn it into an audio signal. Cue a long discussion of a number of people arguing over his onomatopoeia. So the exposure time for the camera is 0.6192 milliseconds per line, and that means the sample rate is about 1615 Hz. It's possible there are higher frequencies in this that have been cut off by this low frequency sampling. However, he does go on to say that there isn't much blurring within the line, which is what you would expect if there were higher frequency vibrations that were very powerful. Now, this is not the first time that micrometeorite impacts have been recorded on spacecraft. In fact, the hardware that was originally flown on Explorer to test for micrometeorite impacts actually was essentially a fancy microphone. But given the meager data recording abilities back then, it's not surprising that there are no audio recordings I've ever found. Furthermore, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has actually imaged fresh impact craters made by much larger objects in the lunar surface. In March 2013, an Earth-based team observed a small flash of light on the dark side of the moon. The coordinates for this were estimated, and then when passed to the Lunar Orbiter team, they were able to find a small, fresh crater, about 60 feet across, 18 meters. But beyond the crater itself, there was a whole lot of related changes due to debris being thrown out. And they believe that debris may have been thrown up to 30 kilometers away from the impact. Anyway, the other side of this story is the sound from the spacecraft. And believe it or not, this wasn't the first audio returned from this. No, there was actually a project to create procedurally generated music based upon a cosmic ray detector which was flown on board this. Crater is the cosmic ray telescope for the effects of radiation, and it would basically be there to characterize radiation in the lunar environment. So for a time you were able to actually tune into this station on the internet and listen to music for as long as, well, it was interesting. Sadly, it's no longer running due to a lack of funding, but hey, it's another great example of science and art coming together. I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.